Isn't it reassuring to know that they have such good wine in Middle-earth? I'd like to call up to the podium Greg Crone, Development Manager of Brandcott Wines and a long-standing member of the New Zealand Wine Growers. Greg will have the pleasure of introducing Jane Cunliffe, New Zealand's Consul General and Investment Director for Trade, who will accept Wine Enthusiast Wine Region of the Year Award on behalf of New Zealand. Greg, come on up here.
Sit down, sit down. Everyone sit down. Come on, no need to stand for me. For those of you who are not familiar with New Zealand, everyone's been there, right? Everyone knows where it is, right? We're located about 9,000 miles southwest of California. Has everyone been to California? Okay, so 9,000 miles southwest of California, which is about 4.5 million miles from New York. Okay. Our closest neighbour, if you're not familiar, is to the west, what we call the West Island, which is Australia. You guys familiar with that? One of the major problems with being from New Zealand is everyone presumes I'm from Australia, which is almost like saying, oh, you're from California, I know someone from Canada. It makes no sense. Well, are there people from Canada here? Are there people from Australia here, more to the point? I want to make it perfectly clear right now, the difference between New Zealand and Australia, okay? You've got to remember this. The difference between New Zealand and Australia is that New Zealanders chose to live in New Zealand. It's that simple. Okay, I'm going to be very quick here. New Zealand makes Sauvignon Blanc. We all know that New Zealand makes Sauvignon Blanc. It's to coin a phrase, freaking fantastic, isn't it? But what makes New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc so great is the acidity. It's jazzy, it's bracy, it's racy, it's assertive, it's stylish, it's fantastic. And I believe it was, who was it? Jerry Garcia who coined the phrase, acid is our friend. And that's actually what New Zealand is about. New Zealand wines are all about acid. And it's for these impressive achievements that Wine Enthusiast is proud to honour New Zealand as its 2002 Region of the Year. So I want to introduce a person who is not only a personal friend but a wonderful ambassador for New Zealand and a great person. She's been a New Zealand diplomat for 20 years, and so by my calculations that means she started when she was about 8 years old, which is quite amazing. I want to introduce Jane Cunliffe, the New Zealand Consul General. So Jane, thank you.
Kia ora, tēnā koutou katoa. Ladies and gentlemen, as we say in New Zealand, good evening. New Zealand is truly honoured to be selected by the Wine Enthusiast as the Wine Region of the Year, especially bearing in mind the wonderful accomplishments of the other nominees and regions around the world, many of whom are here tonight. New Zealand has been in the press a lot lately, as Adam mentioned, for the terrific applause we've had for the film The Lord of the Rings, which was filmed, crafted and post-produced in New Zealand. But also we've hit the pages of the New York Times as well in connection with the billionaire campaigners who are challenging to take the America's Cup back from New Zealand. And I take on that note like to just wish the one remaining US team good luck,
New Zealand Cup.
but not too much luck because we don't want to lose that cup. We've had less general media coverage about the wine industry of late, and that's one reason why it's so particularly meaningful and pertinent for us to receive this award tonight. While the meteoric rise of New Zealand wines is starting to get known around the place, one thing that's very important about New Zealand wines is that they are not only consistently of a high quality, but they are quite distinctive. And that's due to a number of factors, from climatic to geographic to soil types, as well as the winemaking culture there, and the moderating effect of an island setting, which brings the cooling breezes, helps to bring those distinctive characteristics to our wines. One of the features I always find interesting about the New Zealand wine industry is that back in the early days when they started making Sauvignon Blanc and oak barrels were in short supply, they turned to the already world-renowned dairy industry and took a note out of their book with the stainless steel storage technology that had been developed there. And that's another sort of contributor to the distinctive features of our wines. I don't know, you may not know that there are actually 10 distinct wine regions in New Zealand, all that are producing wines, each with their own characteristics. As Greg mentioned already, in wine circles, it's the Sauvignon Blanc that's made its mark for New Zealand. But some people in the know are starting to acknowledge that New Zealand also makes world-class Pinot Noir. And the more ambitious and savvy wine drinkers are also discovering that New Zealand is making luscious Chardonnay, focused Rieslings, seductive Gewürztraminer, as well as superb Cabernet blends. But one of the best ways for you to discover New Zealand wines, of course, is to take a trip to New Zealand and explore them for yourselves down there in their natural habitat, where you can also enjoy them with the fine New Zealand cuisines. So we'd encourage you to do that, to go down there. And there's certainly, apart from the wine and food, there are wonderfully friendly people, there are exciting activities, there might be a boat race to watch, a film launch to see, but just be certain to budget enough time so that because there's so much to taste and do when you're down there. So, wine enthusiasts, thank you once again for this fine honour.
Congratulations, Jane. Thank you very much.